Alrighty, it's what you would call a chilly day in Indianapolis, but we have a big list of things that we can do for today.
Get out, or...
Get out!
Indianapolis, a city perhaps most popular for its professional athletic franchises and its races within the deep Midwest. But in addition to the events that bring in millions of hardcore car course supporters and die-hard long-yard score sport reporters a year, the city also offers numerous other attractions that keep its residents and other visitors interested as well. It should be noted that in the weekend span that I visited, I was hit with sunny t-shirt weather, rainy dreary cloud weather, and below-freezing snowstorm weather. It's hard to talk about the weather patterns in the Midwest with any kind of practical predictions, so come along for the ride and bring an eclectic set of layers. Onto the attractions. Known for its 100 acres of public park exploration, the Virginia Fairbanks Park sits right along the White River. The park is popular because of its appeal to connecting the artistic world to the natural world, with a variety of installments and play places. Furthermore, if you're a fan of aviary creatures, the amount of small birds in this park is, at the least, wholesome, adding to the deep natural atmosphere. The park's well-shaded, lush lakeside trail makes for a decent afternoon walk. And we're going from 0 to 60. The Indianapolis 500 is the largest single-day sporting event in the world, inviting upwards of 350,000 attendees. While the Indy 500 certainly seizes the attention of the masses at the raceway, one of the best times to tour the tracks is in the shoulder season, when the race isn't going on but the buildings are still open. I was able to get some special access to some of the more exclusive areas, like the media room, which only gives out 400 permits a year for entry. No, I was not one of them. I was just invited to take a look at the place. Regardless, smaller groups are easier to take to certain areas, so coming outside of the race month makes a difference. The Indy Museum on site holds a visual overload of all things IndyCar, from the previous winners, trophies, family legacies, and beyond. There's also a small theater which narrates the history of the track, and a variety of different fan cultural icons from the previous Indy 500 eras. Even if you're not into the raceway, it's easy to get wrapped up in the culture and craftsmanship of these physics-challenging vehicles. Indianapolis happens to be the city with the second largest amount of memorials in the U.S., only behind Washington, D.C. The entire downtown area is built around a giant tower surrounded by a roundabout, known as Monument Circle. The Soldiers and Sailors Monument within the circle is cool to see in the daytime and take in all of the details of the massive structure. Angels, soldiers, bison and bears, intricate edges and scrolls around every corner. If you find yourself there in the evening between 9 and midnight, Monument Circle projects a giant monitor onto one of the bank buildings and plays a show that's, quite patriotic. Okay, you get the point. If you find yourself on Massachusetts Ave, you can stop in between Teeny and the Metro nightclub to, quite literally, smell the roses. Chatham Passage is a small, well-designed manhole-looking art installment that wafts rose scents from the grate. In the middle of a big city, it's certainly a pleasant surprise to catch a whiff. On the campus of the state capitol, there's a particular tree that's traveled further than virtually every person on Earth. That is, to the moon and back. One of roughly 50 trees known to exist, the seed of this sycamore tree went along with astronaut Stuart A. Roosa on the Apollo 14 mission to the moon. In a little courtyard to the ground south of the Capitol building, there's a grouping of different plaques, one which pays tribute to the astronaut tree. Indiana as a state is largely proud of its haunted or spooky history, so what better way to take that in than to make your way to the fourth largest graveyard in the nation? The cemetery is certainly classy, with an assortment of intricate headstones, shrines, and name plaques. Nearby the funeral service is an area entirely dedicated to the companions of families. Fido and Mittens would graciously welcome your visit from the afterlife. I can't think of a better way to be haunted, honestly. Unless it's a ball-motivated dog, maybe. I don't think a game of fetch falls under the list of successful clairvoyance means. Unless the dog is medium-sized. If you're interested in spotting the Dillinger family, most prominently known because of John Dillinger, the notorious bank robber, The family lies all together in Section 44. James Whitcomb Riley also lies nearby, on top of the tallest hill in the cemetery. Please be respectful. At Holiday Park in northeast Indianapolis, there's a peculiar statue that sits out front of the parking lot. Known simply as just the Ruins, the installation was actually nabbed from a New York skyscraper prior to its demolition. Thankfully, someone had the foresight to preserve this amazing piece, because it really is a beautiful centerpiece to the park with the gardens included. The park also has a nature center that you might be able to enter depending on your visit time. Up the road from Holiday Park is the Indianapolis Art Center, which acts as a mecca for studio creation and learning within the city. Here you'll find workspaces dedicated to metal crafting, woodworking, glass, ceramics, stone studios, and more. Stop by these shops while they're in session to see glassblowers, painters, and potters in action. If you miss them, at the least the galleries should be open. The library and on-site coffee shop should be available as well. Outside of the center, there are a couple of neat art installations and a nicely built deck that overlooks the river. In a lot of older historic cities in the US, you can expect certain buildings and even a couple of enterprises to be over 100 years old, surviving within the throes of capitalism. But it's somewhat rare to see a mom and pop shop with a centennial status. Back to downtown Indianapolis, there's a shop that has a peculiar and unexpected history. Stout's Shoe Shop is a storefront that's over 130 years old and has most certainly stood the test of time. If you aren't looking to buy a new pair of footwear, at the least stop by and take a look at the old images and photographs of the company through the 20th century. You can also meet Ripley the Parrot, who's been living at Stout since 1998. In addition to hauntings history, Indiana has an incredible background of medical progression and discoveries. This is best laid out for your viewing pleasure at the Indiana Medical History Museum. The museum resides in a former laboratory and research institution of a psychiatrical hospital that no longer exists. The science conducted here was certainly in depth though. Autopsy tables, microscopes, cross-sections of human tissue and nervous systems, an entire cabinet of specimens swallowed by patients, Erlenmeyer flasks, and more. It's truly breathtaking to understand just how far we have come in the name of science, and to appreciate the historical figures that got us here. Even if that means foregoing any meals for the afternoon.
On the cord, it's the nerves of the arm.
Ah, okay.
And it is so tiny.
Yeah, that is, gosh, that's incredible.
There are certainly plenty of other popular places to visit within Indianapolis. If you're a museum buff, the attractions could take weeks to explore through, with interests such as the Kurt Vonnegut Museum, the Children's Museum, which just so happens to be the largest children's museum in the US, and the Indiana Landmark Center, which just so happens to be the largest historic preservation organization in the US. There is certainly no reason to visit here and be bored. It's a build-your-own-adventure kind of place. As always, thanks for watching, and happy exploring!